Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Light Side Podcast. I'm Shola, and today we're diving into a topic that is so relevant to everyone in their daily lives, and that is stress and anxiety. My goal with this episode is to talk about how it manifests in our daily lives, and we can practically manage these feelings and find peace in our daily lives, in our busy lives, because it's so important to feel good and be able to bring our presence to the table without diluting it with the feelings of anxiety and stress, without being so anxious. I think it's helpful to recognize the symptoms of anxiety and stress. To be honest, I had such a high baseline of anxiety for so long that I didn't even realize I was living with that much anxiety until I had some really deep conversations with my therapist. And so now I can immediately pick up on it because my awareness, I have such an ability to recognize when I have anxiety coming over me and I can feel it. I want to just encourage you to pay attention to how it manifests for you in your life because anxiety and stress can have a lot of negative effects on our lives, not just on our mental health, but for the longevity of our life. I won't make this a long tangent because you can Google the effects that prolonged stress and anxiety can have on your life. But just briefly, while you're listening to this, I just want to remind you that having a lot of stress and anxiety on a consistent basis really affects our health. A lot of people don't realize that maybe I'm impacting the health of my heart through all this stress and anxiety, or that maybe the reason why I'm taking blood pressure medications is that because I am not regulating my nervous system, that I am dealing with so much stress and anxiety that it is really causing this strain on my body, having a lot of muscle tension. It creates a lot of discomfort. It can lead to a lot of different joint pains and issues. The list goes on and on. It can, result in insomnia and having sleep issues. Beyond that, increased stress, chronic stress exasperates feelings of anxiety, but it can also lead to depression and irritability, mood swings, which can impact our relationship. I just want to share this to encourage you as to why it's important for us to care about our stress and feelings of overwhelm. Remembering that persistent anxiety and stress not only makes us feel overwhelmed, but it reduces our level of happiness. And there is a reason why you are here on earth and that you're alive. And that reason is not to be stressed. You're here to experience love, joy, expansion, the fulfillment that you feel when you're in your purpose, when you're doing things that you love, when you are trusting what is. And I think for me, dealing with stress and anxiety, I ground myself through a lot of breath work, through meditation, through prayer. My relationship with spirituality is really important to me. And I think that all of the conversations we have on this podcast provide you with the tools and tips to become more present, to avoid falling into any sort of trap of, okay, I need to be elsewhere. What I try to convince you with all of my episodes, what I try to bring to all these conversations is the belief and trust and certainty that there's a reason why you are where you are. And by being completely present with the here and now and being in this moment right here, right now, and fusing your consciousness into this moment, you can evolve and grow that much more effectively. And when we are completely in this moment right now, consumed with what is in front of us, there is little room for stress and anxiety to consume. We aren't consumed with what's ahead or what's in the past. We're consumed with right here, right now, which is full of love and joy and expansion. You can listen to some of my prior episodes on the power of now and why it's so important to be in this moment right now, improving your now moments, and how that can lead to so much more joy and happiness and expansion. In this episode, I want us to talk about how we can effectively and practically manage stress as it's coming up for us in a day to day life experience, as we start seeing it manifest through our body, as we start to experience the physical symptoms. And so Some of those symptoms for stress and anxiety, again, you can Google, how do I identify anxiety in my body? How do I identify when I'm feeling stressed? And I'm sure you are likely familiar with it as is because the average person experiences stress and anxiety very frequently. Some cliff notes on how you can identify stress and anxiety. Anxiety is more intensified stress. And so let's start with stress. Str- a lot of people's hands may get sweaty. Maybe your heart rate starts to increase. Maybe you notice that you are stress eating, you are craving sugar. There's a change in your appetite, more or less, right? And so it's noticing the tension in your hands. Are you tightening your grip? Are you locking your jaws, or is it in your neck, shoulders, back? A lot of people can just feel it through these types of symptoms. Some people get major migraines or headaches when they're really stressed. A lot of times, doctors will tell you to keep a journal of what's happening when you feel stress, what led to it. Maybe did someone tell you something? Did you find certain news? Is there a certain amount of uncertainty that's about to present itself into your life? Is there change coming up? Or is there a certain argument? Is there certain conversations? Is there certain topics that stress you out? And you can also pick it up through behavioral triggers. If you're feeling irritated or you get angry really fast, or just this feeling of overwhelm. Like, I can't focus. I have so much going on. There's so much on my plate. Identifying the stress is first and foremost really important because you can then work around what's bringing that into my life experience. A lot of times, stress and anxiety are triggered by our thoughts, which we have complete control over. And when we recognize that we can control our thoughts and we can control how we decipher information or situations, how we can reframe situations so that it doesn't stress us out, then we can experience all of these things with a lot more ease. I think severe anxiety people have different types of symptoms within them. So please look it up and see if you resonate with the different physical symptoms of anxiety. But a lot of times, it is intrusive thoughts, is constant worrying. It's really your thoughts that are bringing you the anxiety that you feel. There's usually a gap between where you are and where you need to be. And there is this level of anxiousness that is making you think that you might not get there or that you're behind, that causes that level of anxiety. I just did an episode on feeling behind. So please listen to that if that resonates with you. It's episode 33. I do want to mention, as with anything, their level of severity is going to vary per person. And so only how you feel and your unique experiences from the perspective that you do. And so I want to make sure that's clear that by sharing these suggestions and tips and by sharing the perspectives that I'm sharing on this episode, I'm by no means devaluing or minimizing how it might be impacting you and your life, because for some people, it's really hard to define and understand where their anxiety is stemming from, because there are generalized anxiety disorders and stress disorders that some people have felt for their entire life. And identifying the pattern requires doing one on one work with a practitioner, with a coach, with a therapist, so that it can be addressed and calmed. And we'll talk about managing our nervous system. And so, for you, in terms of identifying whether you're dealing with a lot of stress or anxiety, typically anxiety can feel a bit more chronic in the sense that it can last for weeks, months, or years, whereas stress can be a bit more short term or related to a specific situation or circumstance that's manifesting itself in your life. Anxiety tends to be more intense, and it can include panic attacks or hyperventilation, whereas with stress, it can be more so like muscle tension and exhaustion and fatigue, the symptoms we talked about earlier. And so knowing what is manifesting for you will make a big difference. I think what I'm about to share will help you either or, because something that I love to do with my clients is the tapping method. And it's also called emotional freedom technique. It is a really powerful tool. And maybe we'll do a couple rounds together so that you can do it on your own time. You can apply it whenever you feel you need in your daily life. Without overly generalizing, I want to mention that a lot of times we feel anxiety because of the gap between where we are and where we need to be. And a lot of times, that feeling and that gap comes from inaction, from maybe overthinking. And so, a lot of times, people's anxiety and stress is directly linked to overthinking. That's how it has manifested for me. One thing that I really love is thinking about how we approach life. If we practice mindfulness, if we use the tools and resources that is available to us, such as tapping or breath work or meditation, we begin to realize that, okay, like whenever I'm still, that isn't necessarily a sign or trigger for me to get into overanalyzing or overthinking my life. Instead, I'm supposed to be in this moment. So, whenever you're taking some time to rest, that's not a cue for begin overthinking immediately. It's a cue for, okay, let me clear my mind. Let me relax. Let me be in this moment right now because the next moment or the next day, I'm going to be working on X, Y, and Z. And I think it's more so about starting to take action instead of thinking about taking action. I think there's like the knowing doing gap. Begin to take action and not expect perfection. One of the questions I like to ask myself whenever I get into the feeling of overwhelm or anxiety is, what small actions can I take today with regard to X, Y, and Z? Like with whatever is causing you stress or anxiety, what is one small action I can take today? And then the next, and trusting that the next will come to you, getting into doing rather than thinking. Literally, what happens is we are putting off action and focusing on the problem versus on the solution. And so by doing, we actually move the needle and we start to instill more confidence because we're like, okay, yeah, I took action. I'm getting closer. Deviating and shifting from thinking to doing makes a really big difference. I think the other thing is not getting too hung up on what didn't go well and or how wrong or how we failed or how we weren't perfect for an interview, the way we acted in a meeting. Instead, moving on and focusing on what you'll do next time is a great way to shift out of feeling anxious and focusing not on what has happened that is unfavorable, but how you can take what has happened to show up differently as a better iteration as to how it went down last time. And shifting your mindset can help a lot. And sometimes our anxiety and stress comes from what we think others will think of us, like how we think others will judge us. What I've noticed is that most people are so focused on their own lives and all this stuff that's happening that they're too busy judging you and your life. And when we take a step back and realize that, okay, everyone else has a slew of things that they have going on in their life, and they're not sitting there thinking about me and my life. There's a big sigh of relief almost. Okay, I'm honestly and, and truly putting too much stress, too much thought into living this moment versus just living it. Ultimately, it comes down to realizing, am I thinking about my life more than I am living it? When you can come to a place of, I am truly thinking about everyone and how they perceive my life way more than how I'm actually living my life, then things begin to shift because there is no need for you to hold yourself back because you're afraid of how others are going to judge you when others may not even notice what you did. And even if they do, your life is not based on living on other people's terms. It's helpful to come back into this knowing that maybe I am overthinking this life experience and I'm just meant to live it. I'm just meant to meet this moment. And what can I do today to move the needle? The other thing that comes to mind is when I notice a lot of people get stressed when they feel like they're expecting something else to fall into place. There's this event, situation, circumstance outside of their control that has to fall into place before they can start living life or taking the actions they want to take. And because that action is outside of their control, naturally, if I am thinking that my happiness or my ability to take action is dependent on X condition outside of my control, X event, X situation, then I can take action. That's how not only do I hold myself back, but that's how I exasperate the anxiety and stress in my life, as if others have more power or something outside of my control has more power over my life experience than I do. This is what I want to help shift our mindset out of and to dissolve that thought, because truly you're the creator of your life through the thoughts you have, through the way you decipher situations and events, and you can live your life feeling more at ease and at peace, because that's how you're meant to live. When we place certain preconditions to exist in our lives in order for us to do whatever else we want to do, we're only holding ourselves back. We're only keeping ourselves stuck. That is a facade, it's an illusion, and you can stop the illusion. What I am encouraging here is that there are far more things within your control, especially being how you react, how you respond to situations, that can shift your life experience, to shift your mindset so that you can start living the things that you want to be experiencing right here, right now, without feeling like you're at the mercy of others. For instance, for you, it might be feeling like I can't live my dream space or in my dream cozy apartment without a partner. That is a limiting belief. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is a lot of our stress and anxiety stems and is rooted in limiting beliefs, because it's these negative narratives that create stress and anxiety that make us feel stuck in our life situations. Other stresses might be maybe work. You have a demanding job, you have tight deadlines, high expectations. You feel like, oh my gosh, I am working overtime. I don't have time for my health. I don't have time for my well being. And that can intensify your stress and anxiety. What I'm trying to allude to with both of these examples is that it's how you are able to respond and react to these situations that will ultimately impact your experience with it, because you might not be able to change the deadlines or how quickly your dream person comes into your life, but you can regain control over your life through how you respond, how you approach an experience that is here right now, which maybe not being perfect or as you want them to be. Taking the power back from external factors and having more control over things that you can control. That starts with reframing. That starts with recognizing that though you can't change the way others behave or what others do or not do, you have the power to manage your reactions, your thoughts, instead of, let's say, viewing that project as a source of overwhelm or a time energy drainer, seeing it as an opportunity to grow professionally, seeing it as an opportunity to showcase your skills and what you bring to the table. Shifts your energy from feeling drained to feeling, I can do this. I can work effectively to make things happen. And so focusing on what you can control, like organizing your tasks, setting realistic goals. For me, one thing that really helps me a lot when I'm feeling stressed is writing down everything I have to do and then picking the first thing and maybe even setting timelines for it on my calendar. Okay, I'm going to do this Monday, the next thing Tuesday. Oh, I have this other thing on Wednesday, so I'm going to have to do that next thing on Thursday. Having this plan of action helps reduce the level of anxiety and stress. There are certain tangible steps that you can take. You've done it before and you'll be able to do it again. I alluded to this earlier. Practicing mindfulness, practicing meditation can really help you stay grounded in the midst of anxiety and reduce it. I use the Calm app. I have a lifetime membership. There's tons of apps out there that you can use, like the Open app, Insight Timer. Even a couple minutes to center yourself can not only energize you, but bring you back to this moment when you're able to calm your thoughts, when you're able to manage your thinking from running your life, instead being an observer of it. You can stop and realize that in this moment right now, all there is consciousness, all there is the light of beingness. If it's hard to find that in this moment right now, use deep breathing techniques. I love box breath. It's when you take a deep breath in for a count of 5, or you can determine your count. Let's say you count between 4 to 8 seconds, and then you hold your breath for a count of 5. And then you exhale for a count of 5 and hold on empty for a count of 5. This allows your mind to just focus on your breathing, which can help calm your nervous system when there is a lot of stress. And you can do it anywhere. You can do it on the subway, in your car, at your desk, in the middle of a heated conversation. You can do it anywhere. Take deep breaths, and you, instead of focusing on the chatter in your mind, you focus on the breathing and counting your breathings. Another breathing technique is called the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Exhaling completely out through your mouth, doing a complete whoosh through your mouth, and then closing your mouth and inhaling through your nose for a count of 4, and then holding your breath for a count of 7, and completely exhaling through your mouth for a count of 8. That's considered one cycle. And then you repeat that process like 3 or more times. And it is proven to reduce the feelings of stress and anxiety, because by focusing on your breath and elongating your exhales, you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which helps reduce stress and anxiety. And so you can do this before bedtime. It can calm your body and your mind. It can calm your thinking and make it easier for you to fall asleep. It is a really great technique whenever you feel like, okay, I need to relax. We did a similar breathing exercise before my best friend's wedding that I just went to in Utah. I led like a short guided meditation, which we incorporated breath work into. But anytime, maybe it's before a presentation, just quickly pause and do a quick 4-7-8 breathing technique. I suggest doing the 4-7-8, just a quick refresher. You close your mouth, inhale through your nose for a mental count of 4, and then you hold for a count of 7, exhale for a count of 8. Inhale, count of 4, hold for 7, exhale with 8, and repeat this a few times. It's a really great way to calm yourself. Maybe you can do a quick body scan. For me, I notice anxiety and stress in my body a lot through the tension I feel in my muscles and my joints. So body scanning can help you reduce stress and anxiety as well, whether you're sitting down or maybe lying down before you go to bed. But typically, most of us are sitting down when we feel stress and anxiety come up. And maybe making sure your back is straight if you are sitting, and begin to just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, maybe do the 4-7-8 that we just ran through. Maybe inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Allow your body to relax with each exhale, and then start at the top of your head and begin to notice any sensations or tensions that you feel that you want to relax, and just observe it. Through your observation, you're able to change how you feel and make the intention to relax the tension. Move to your neck, your face, your forehead, your eyes, your jaw. Are you clenching your jaw? Take your time to observe and breathe into these areas. Notice the tightness and make your intention to relax into it. As you do this, scan down your arms, your shoulders, shift your focus, and notice any tensions or sensations as you move through your arms, through your elbows and wrists. For me, I feel it in my hands a lot. Maybe shake out your hands and fingers, rotate your wrist, and release the tension that you feel. And through your observation, you are able to help release it as well. So just putting your focus and attention to it, and then move through your body, your lower back, your abdominal. Notice how your abdominal area expands as you inhale and exhale. Put your attention on any tightness or discomfort that you might feel in your back or in your stomach area. And then scan through your hips, breathe into the area, breathe into any tension that you feel, scanning from your hips down your legs, into your thighs, knees, calves, ankles. Observe any sort of tension and breathe into it. Bring your focus to it. Doing a full body scan is a really great way to add mindfulness and awareness into your body. So getting out of your head, into your body, Then bring your awareness to your feet. Notice any tightness, maybe wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a few deep breaths. And as you do, as you inhale and exhale, imagine yourself releasing the remaining tension out of your body. Maybe visualize the stress melting away with each exhale. Visualize a bucket of water that you've been holding and now you tip over and let all the water spill out. Feel the exhale, feel the release, and then begin to gently open your eyes and notice how you feel. Allow yourself to transition back to your surroundings. And I suggest doing this regularly because it can really deepen your awareness, but it can also help you just be more present with where you are right here, right now. And it's normal for your mind to wander. So it might be helpful to do a guided meditation or re listen to this portion. You can pin it and come back to it and go on a walk. Okay. A lot of people use exercising, going to the gym, working out as a way to deal with stress. And I think that for me personally, I love to walk, and walking is obviously a form of exercise. For me personally, I immediately feel better, and I hear the same sentiment from other people. But when I looked into this, I learned that when we walk, it releases endorphins just like any other exercise, which is a natural mood lifter. The endorphins reduce pain and also trigger a positive feeling in our body. Walking not is not only good for our health, for our physical well-being and all of that, but is super helpful for our stress levels. And it reduces our cortisol levels, which cortisol is a hormone that's associated with stress, and it improves our sleep. And there's so many cognitive benefits too. I believe walking helps exercise both the right and left side of our brains. Walking in nature, especially in nature, it not only improves our mood, but it helps us be more aware. It improves our level of mindfulness. It helps us be more present because instead of going into thought patterns that are negative or just getting stuck in overthinking, we're able to just be present and walk and enjoy the scenery. Again, walking is a huge way of reducing stress. It helps us improve using both the left and right side of our brains. That's something I learned recently. And I thought that is really interesting because it facilitate bilateral coordination. I don't know too much about it, but I'm sure you can look that up. And walking also improves neuroplasticity. That's something that I learned about EFT, the tapping method, which then brings me to tapping. I use emotional freedom technique in my coaching relationships, and a lot of therapists use it in their sessions to help clients reduce stress and anxiety naturally without the use of medications. And I use it in terms of releasing emotions attached to certain triggers in our past and emotions that have created a certain neural pathway and allowing us to create new ones. In terms of EFT for stress and anxiety, there is a technique called faster EFT. It's a simplified tapping method that combines traditional EFT with NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. And so I'm going to share with you a super brief tapping round for faster EFT to release stress and anxiety. And so there are different acupuncture points throughout our body. And so the ones we're going to tap on is the eyebrow. It's essentially the beginning of your eyebrow just above your nose. And then there is side of the eye, which is the bone beside the outer corner of your eye, the bone to the right of your eye. And underneath the eye is the bone under your eye. And then collarbone, find the point an inch from the center below the collarbone. And then we are going to hold your wrist at the end of the round. I'm going to tell you to wrap your hand around your wrist and take a deep breath in and out. And so we'll do that routine together. I just want to make sure that you go through it and you know what I'm referring to when I say eyebrow, side of the eye, underneath the eye. I want you to first close your eyes and take a moment to acknowledge the stress and anxiety you're feeling. And I want you to rate the intensity of it on a scale from 0 to 10. Our goal is to bring this down to a 0 or a very low neutral. We're going to start with the eyebrow, top of the brow, and you're tapping with your two fingers. So let's say your index and your middle finger, or you can do with the rest of your fingers too. I usually just do my two fingers. And you start to tap. Focus on the anxiety and stress that you feel. And you're going to repeat after me. All the stress and anxiety, the stress in my body, it's safe to release it now. Continue to tap and repeat after me. All the stress and anxiety, the stress in my body, all these feelings of there's so much, it's safe to release it now. Side of the eye, the stress that I feel, I choose to release it now. Underneath the eye, it's safe to let it go now. And as I do, peace washes over me. Collarbone, these anxious thoughts are replaced with trust, are replaced with ability. I trust that I'm able to do everything that comes my way. Take a deep breath in, squeeze your wrist, and exhale. And as you do, I want you to come back to this present moment, check in with yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Ask yourself, how much do I feel the stress and anxiety? And really, our goal is to bring that down to a 0. And so we repeat the tapping until you don't really feel it at all, or it's reduced to a 2 or 3, but ideally a 0 until it's neutral. And so you check in with yourself, ask yourself after each round, how do I feel? And I suggest a pattern interrupt, like listening to a song you love, maybe watching a funny video, having it on cue. Really, what we're doing with these rounds of tapping is acknowledging the stress and anxiety and intending and affirming that we are ready to release it. And so we'll do a couple more rounds, and feel free to repeat these rounds until you feel at neutral. Starting above your eyebrow, all these feelings of stress, all these feelings of anxiety, all the anxiousness in my body, it's safe to release it now. Side of the eye. I acknowledge the tension in my body, all the worries, all the fears, and it's safe to let them go now. Underneath the eye. Releasing all this tension, letting go of this anxiety, I choose to feel calm and at peace. Collarbone. And as I release this anxiety and stress, peace washes over me, calmness washes over me, because I am capable of everything I set my mind to. I focus on my actions, and as I do, I come back to this present moment and I focus on the action I can take, and I know that I can handle it. I'm ready now. Okay, squeeze your wrist, hold your wrist, take a deep breath in, and exhale peace. The word peace, or whatever affirmation word that makes you feel calm. And check in with yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How much do I feel this now? And repeat this as often as you want. Maybe repeat a few times and continue to repeat it until you feel a greater sense of calm and peace. I use EFT every morning as part of my morning routine. It helps me prime my energy and make me feel really ready for my day. I create personalized tapping scripts for my clients as part of my coaching by getting to the root of feelings, patterns that are keeping you in the state of your life, and create scripts that you can practice on your own time. Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in coaching. I can send you information on how to get started. I have limited spots, but I'd love to work with you and hear your story. So feel free to reach out to me. I hope that this episode really equips you with the tools and techniques to calm your stress and anxiety naturally. And I want to leave you with remembering that you can always start where you are and use what you have to do whatever you need to do and you think you can. I want to remind you that you are empowered to do what you want to do. And I think a question that I really love that I read somewhere was asking yourself, what would my most fully idealized self do with today? What would my best self do? And I think that is really a great way for you to take action from your best potential. And I want to encourage you to repeat to yourself, I'm here now. I am where my feet are. I am present in this moment. And it's safe to release the stress and anxiety that overpower your mind. The more you connect to the here and now, the more you're able to dissolve the stress and anxiety and remind yourself that you're capable of doing everything that you need to. And saying affirmations, if you're watching the Olympics right now, you see that Olympians repeat affirmations. Mental health is important. And I hope that you give yourself that time and space to really be with the here and now. Listen to episode 32 on the power of now if you want more tips on that. I hope that this episode helped you. Please let me know your thoughts. I'm sending you so much love. Until next time, thank you.